Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to session 6 of Asia Live. We are here today with a very special guest. But before I introduce my guest and before I start the session, I would just want to set the tone for it by reading a few lines. From expectations to gratitude, from existence to living, from defiance to acceptance, from failures to experiences, from knowledge to awareness, from anarchy to sanguinity, I slowly inch towards wisdom, seeking my answers, discerning my reasons, knowing myself. These are a few lines from my book, and we are here today to share the wisdom of a very famous person of Sri Lanka. So our guest today is from Sri Lanka. Asia Live, as we all know, is we started a series about 6 weeks ago, and in order to promote Asian art, literature, and culture on the ALS platform. It's an initiative to introduce writers and eminent personalities from various Asian countries to our platform, to our readers, to our members of the Asian Literary Society. We are honored to have with us today Mr. Pramodit D. Rupasinghe. He is a very famous author from Sri Lanka. And welcome aboard, Mr. Pramodit.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. Very good. Very, very good. How are you doing?
All good. So, our guest today is from the land of serendipity, as it is called, an island of incredibly beautiful beaches and rich wildlife. Mr. Pramodit is a Sri Lankan novelist who has been internationally published and recognized. He's the author of Behind the Eclipse, Footprints in Obscurity, Rain of Fire, and Bayan. His books have been translated into over 12 languages and launched in over 70 countries. His book Bayan is listed among finalists for Golden Book World Literature Awards by Astor Academy in Italy. Behind the Eclipse has been listed by Pulse among 10 best books by Sri Lankan authors, and Footprints in Obscurity is among the 10 most extraordinary books by male Sri Lankan authors. What a tremendous achievement, Mr. Pramodit. Very impressive journey, the writing journey you have had. I would also like to mention something that Mr. Pramodit actually didn't tell me, but I found it over internet about his book Footprints in Obscurity, and I would really like to share that piece of information with the audience here. Um, the book Footprints in Obscurity is his journey through 29 countries across Africa between 2010 and 2015. He grew up listening to his father's stories and as a result developed a fascination with Africa. When his dream of visiting this mysterious land came true, he embarked on a journey which questioned and challenged some of his beliefs while fortifying others. It is such an amazing thing, to journey through 29 countries and, pen down your experience in a book. And I would really like to know more about that in detail from you in a while from now. So, Mr. Pramodit, how is it to be sharing your wisdom and your writing journey here with us on ALS today?
Yeah. Thank you so much again. And starting with, you gave a very good start with Africa. Actually, that was the land where I became an author. Before that, I was a humanitarian. I am a humanitarian even today. But what really intrigued me to go to Africa and discover this unknown is my
Mhm.
father and his
Okay.
free time stories. When I was a kid, he used to relate on stories and I used to listen, and then I imagined this mysterious land where the people who were different from us live. And
Mhm.
I was a curious child. I wanted to go and explore this. And then there was, simultaneously there was certain incidents happen in the
Mhm.
world, Rwandan genocide and all these events, which also gave me kind of a shock and wanted to help people. That's
Okay.
where the humanitarian imperative came and
Mhm.
thought came. And I finally, when I was, finishing my studies, I made my journey to Africa as a humanitarian, not as an author. And then I discovered, like, as I started moving, I mean, crossing the borders of that land I dreamt of, and I discovered that this piece of land has immense amount of knowledge that the world should know, and that diversity and the tropical colors that really marveled me, and cultures and languages, and this commonality that we see from outside, and there is a commonality, and within it there are so many nuances that really I felt that these are the things that I have to pen down and present to the world. And there could be thousands, millions of curious children like I used to be, wanting to know about
No,
this
more.
land. And then what happened? When I traveled, I crossed the borders most of the time, and some of the countries I could not. Then I took flights or alternate ways in getting in. But then I, as any other person, had stereotypes, and when I got to know those people, they started falling down like dominoes, one after the other, until the last one. That was the revelation for me. And that's where Footprints in Obscurity was born. Because Footprints is my journey, obscurity was complete darkness. I didn't know until the next moment where I was going to head. So that was that. And Africa gave me a lot of things to think. And that's where I think all my psychic energy was really, pumped.
Blooming.
Yeah, definitely. And it's an unforgettable journey across these 29 countries. And it's my nostalgia now, sitting in comfortable areas. But yeah, surely.
So actually, most of us are not able to travel to, far off countries, but it's through the pen of writers like you that we see a picture of the world that exists, far beyond the places where we are living. So we may have, seen few pictures or, known through documentaries or whatever, but a personal experience, a personal anecdote of anyone is much much different, than the other information that we get. And I think it's very important to, write such books and bring such experiences to the readers. I must say that.
Definitely. And also that's where I started my separate, I mean, it's a very different way of writing. I don't write sitting on a balcony imagining, even though I'm a fiction writer. I usually go to the exact places where I set the story and try to, inhabit that ecosystem where my characters live.
That's what brings, more life to the stories. That's what makes them, makes the reader relate to the stories, I feel.
Credibility and that
Yeah.
cultural proximity, and understanding the dynamics within those societies, and
Hmm.
make it more close to the
Hmm.
people who read.
That brings me to a question for you. So you are a humanitarian diplomat, and I'm sure you must have had unique insights into the culture, experience, behavior, and lives of people across, various countries. So, is your writing, apart from the book Footprints of Obscurity that you've already told us, is, a reflection of your journey? Are all the other books also a reflection of any of these insights that you may have had of the human behavior or the culture that you may have witnessed yourself?
Actually, to be honest, the human and the culture are inseparable.
True.
Even though the cultures are evolving, they are very dynamic. The
Yeah.
we can say that, okay, we belong to one culture, but
Hmm.
the culture that where, I mean, my parents belong to can be significantly different than what I belong to. So what I actually write, all my books have definitely very strong elements of culture,
Okay.
language,
Okay.
Language also, because one thing I have to tell, language and culture, they are very much embedded. And we are now in a world where that famous saying that English and the English with mistakes do not exist, because English has become very international and developed not only dialect but kind of different branches of it. So when you go to Nigeria, you have Pidgin English. So in my books, I have incorporated all these tiny bits and pieces that represent each culture where my stories are set in dialogues and the gastronomy, the colors people prefer. Every single cultural element are really embedded into all stories. Then coming back to the second book, Behind the Eclipse, which is also a book set in Africa, West Africa, during the time of Ebola. So it's I had to go deep and deeper and deeper into different cultures. I don't call the word tribe, even though people usually use that word tribe. Because I use instead ethnicities because it's more respectful. So those ethnic groups, the cultures of each and ethnic group that are represented in the book, I really dug into their depth of those cultures. Otherwise, I cannot present anything credible. And then Bayan, which was completely set in a completely different environment, Ukraine. Ukraine. So Ivan Nikolaevich, the protagonist, that imaginary old man. So I shared spaces with people like that to know how they behave. And it's a complete kind of living in their little Balbo world. So a big part in each book of mine, the culture plays and the language and everything else that belong to the place where the story is set.
That's a very interesting thing, actually, that makes the story and more relatable, and because somehow, somewhere, even if we are reading a fiction book, we are looking for some kind of, gain of knowledge or information that we aren't aware of, and I mean that's how we know the word, through the eyes of the writer, right?
Definitely. I mean, for me, a fiction is more truthful than a non-fiction. Why I'm telling this? Because
I am sure there would be many who would refute this statement, but yes, I would like your views.
No, because of that, you can see that the facts sometimes change. But sometimes, I mean, most often fictions can be live across ages. And tiny bits and pieces that are in fiction, I mean, stories, the fictions, can be somehow relatable to your life at any time. So that's reality and that's truth of life, right?
So it's like fiction is inspired from real life for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
And it does inspire the real life too. I think it works both ways.
Yeah.
We learn and from the fiction, and we remember the things that the writer would have said in a particular book and try to apply those knowledge or that piece of information into our life. So I think it works both ways. Would you like to read some excerpt from your book right now, sir?
Yeah, forthcoming. Actually, I was in Bangladesh some time ago.
Okay.
So it's a very particular book that I wanted to talk about. A girl who has been trafficked and sold in Kandapura, and her dream of going back to school, and she finally gets there. So the book is called The Girl Who Snatched the Moon. So I lived, I mean, it's the longest exercise I had in terms of writing. I started the book in 2016, 16th of October 2017. And now the process is like almost over. I think it's almost 4 years now. But I don't repent having that long time. I made 3 times to Bangladesh and mixed with people, lived in different places. And finally, I'm with the final manuscript.
Awesome. I mean, the best wishes to you for the book. And the title is very interesting, The Girl Who Stole the Moon.
Yeah, the girl who snatched the moon.
Snatched the moon. Sorry,
yeah.
Great, great. So would you like to read something from that book, or you would want to read something from a published one?
Today I'm gonna read from a piece from Bayan. This is the book that just it was nominated when I gave you the information to the Esther Awards, but this got
This
Golden
got
Esther
awarded?
Award for Global Literature. That's given by Esther Academy in Italy for 7
Oh, so
languages.
many, many congratulations to you,
Thank
Mr.
you so
Prabodhan.
much.
Many
So
congratulations. So bayan is the word as it means in Hindi and Urdu, or bayan explanation,
no,
right?
definitely, it's like in Urdu, it's a different one, but
Yeah,
this is the Russian name for accordion.
that's why
So,
I asked,
Bayan,
because I assumed you wouldn't have given an Urdu name to your book. So what does it
definitely,
mean in Russian? What does it mean in
Russian is
Russian?
the accordion, but the Russian
Okay,
accordion is harsher
okay,
and it makes little bit hard sounds than this French or Western accordion. So it's symbolic to Soviet Union.
okay,
So I'm
okay.
gonna read this part where a stranger meets this old man. He explains his life a little bit in a very
Mhm.
symbolic way. The body has already begun to give up all its burdens. It slowly disconnects from the memories of the past, external temptations, and mobility. Every second, millions of living cells die under the skin, and they are never born again. Young man, you are too young to understand this, and you are too young to hear this. When the muscles shrink, the skin wrinkles. When the sight fades, the beauty around you becomes unveiling. When the hearing weakens, the music falls silent. And when the legs stumble, the paths where I walked alone, miles after miles, days after days, become mere fantasies. And when ability turns into disability, you have to know the journey of life is reaching its destination, patiently and gradually. Allow it to reach there with patience and contentment. Breathe until the last bit of air granted to you. That is your obligation. Ivan took a deep breath, which was audible above the creaky noise that the metal wheels of the cart made. You know that death is approaching, taking you to a rugged terrain where you need to carve your path through thorny bushes, but you can't hurry. You have to wait patiently and embrace it with respect. So this is how Ivan Nikolaevich, 73 years old man who has lived half of his life in Soviet Union and lost his all wealth when the Soviet Union collapsed, and trying to trying to adapt at his old age to a modern democratic way of life where competition is everything. He is no longer used to that type of life, but instead he is seeking the refuge in his musical instrument. When he is happy, he plays it. When he is sad, he plays it. When he's indifferent, he plays it. Thank you.
Very beautiful. I mean, great thought, and you actually kind of, summarized the whole journey of life in those particular few words. So millions of cells die under skin every second. Music, when you are not able to hear, music falls silent. I think somehow we all have this fear of old age, and I think we don't generally speak about that fear, but you have put across that fear of everyone's, I think, in very wonderful words. I've seen my parents aging, and in the last few years, I've seen how all of these things are happening to them. You feel bad, and you feel bad for them, and more than that, you feel bad that you are also going to undergo the same fate someday. So, very nicely written. I mean, it's actually forcing me to pick up the book. It's
Thank you so
beautiful
much.
lines. Beautiful lines. So, this book was published in which year, Bayan?
Actually, it was published in 2018,
Okay.
but this has made its history here. You know
Mm-hmm.
that Soviet literature was, in South Asia, we have read a lot of Soviet books, especially in Sri Lanka. And
Mm-hmm.
Bayan is the first ever book written by a Sri Lankan set in Soviet context and translated into Soviet languages. This book is available in Russian, Ukrainian, and also in Western European languages, German, French,
Oh, wow.
Polish, and also Burmese, because Burma is a country that is very close to me. I worked 2 times in Burma. And also there are a lot of literary festivals, for example, Irrawaddy, and also there were a lot of authors who lived like George Orwell
Mm-hmm.
and Neruda. So it's it's a country that is very close to my life. So I wanted to translate it to Burmese and then Sinhalese
Great,
as well.
great, great. On a similar theme of how time makes us all go around itself, I have a poem. I'm a poet, more of a poet, though I do write stories, but I'm not like a story writer. So I have a poem titled "The Maestro Time."
Mm-hmm.
The wheels of time always move ahead of me, no matter how diligently I pace up. Does it happen with you too? At
Definitely, yeah.
times, at times, I feel it's mocking me for my turtle moves, for the pause I assume, for the moments of my muse. I find it assuaging too when I cocoon into my solitude, unable to bear the handicap of anticipations. It then patiently awaits my metamorphosis. It squashes me with its speed some days, though, when I prefer to tread carefully, to scale the mountain, to surmount the peak of challenges. There are days when it smiles at me, when it watches me gleam like fireflies as I evolve from my fallacies, as I choose to persevere than resent. It often incarcerates me in the cage of its ambiguities, and I, like a man handcuffed for a trial, await innocently, too perplexed to voice myself. The visit of time blesses me sometimes, when I am able to ride with all my verve, and it holds my hand with pride and conviction, and together we reach the finish line. But it's not the end of the sprint, my dear, time proclaims, and we begin all over, yet again. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. So
It's
this was
very
again.
wonderful, actually. Yeah, and I started with poems first. Uh,
Okay. Okay. Good to know that.
when I was very young, but they were never
Okay.
published because
Okay.
and even in Bayan there are some poems,
Oh, really? Okay.
small pieces, especially the ones that I wrote as to depict the voice or to depict the life of Ivan.
Mm-hmm.
But poetry is the starting point of my
Hmm.
career, and
That's good to know.
yeah, and then still I have this affiliation and the close relationship, with poetry, and the way, especially the composition, that when I write, usually I have little bit of tendency towards poetic language,
Mm-hmm.
and a language that is, very close to nature and to life, for sure. So poems are always like, that pumps life to us.
The next time I'm gonna ask you to recite a poem, maybe not today. And next time we'll keep some time for a poem from you. So, would you want to read an excerpt, another excerpt from your book? Because I have one more question for you. Maybe you
Okay.
can, if we have
You,
time, you can answer
you
that later.
probably what I'll do, I will start. I will just give the last part of this book.
Oh,
That will say a little bit. I mean, I think
so this is from which book now?
Bayan.
The same book. Okay.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
book. The building where Ivan lived has completely deteriorated, covered with snow, and there's no sign of life at the horizon. Yet the old bench stands strong, and the cherry trees are skeletal, their bleak nakedness covered only by snow. Wind blows vigorously across the icy land, and the sunflower yards that had been live and glowing in summer have fallen dead and lie buried under the cold ice. There is no windows to be seen close in the building. All of them are broken or have fallen to the ground, and only a few have even left the traces of their existence. Many balconies are like little forests, and upon the moss there are opportunistic trees growing. Only sparrows stayed in their tiny nests in icy cold. There is little about life and more about death. And the melody, neither happy nor sad, wafts through the air on the bench where old couple Kalya and Shasha had spent their leisure time, and where Ivan had placed his bayan, and an old woman playing a bayan with trembling fingers. She's trying to play a melody of her age. It is her soul that was emerging as a melody into the frozen air. She does not care about the murderous cold and the snow that falls on her hair. She keeps on playing, looking at the window frames, listening to the wind and hoping that the earth will listen to her. She plays until her grey hair is completely covered with white snow. Then the wind removes the snow and continuously falls on her head. But now, new snow falls immediately. She looks at the sky and then at the earth, wipes some snow, and continues to play her bayan. She is content and does not care about the bone-chilling cold that bites mercilessly into her flesh. That is Ivan's daughter, who has returned back to the place where she
mhm.
was born after the death of her father, and father has given her only one treasure that he had. That was Bayan. She is old enough and she is playing the same melody as her father. That's the cycle we live.
So touching. And the imagery that created by using such words as, balconies were little forests, and, of all the things that are dying, it was very beautifully depicted. Wonderful, wonderful, right? We
It
have
is.
some beautiful comments also, which you can check later on. There is one question for you from Mr. Anil Kumar Shiv. How does traveling 29 countries in a row affected your own cultural life? Would you want to
Yeah,
answer?
actually, thank you so much for that specific question. I am
Mhm.
not the same person who traveled out, and it's not actually 29 countries in Africa. I have actually included these 29 countries into the book, but
In
I
the
have,
book.
yeah, I have traveled more than 40 in the continent, and beyond Africa, I have traveled much more.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, my lifetime is all of us. I mean, mostly I travel.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. I know that most of us, have that dream of being a traveler, but very few are able to achieve it. I'm happy that you have been able to do it. So,
Thank you.
to
And
answer this question, how do you think? So, you feel that you are a blend of all the cultures or something like that?
yeah, definitely. That's why I told that I'm not the same person who went up, and it's a complete transformation. But I saw diversity, but I learned to see commonalities. That's
very wonderful. I mean, that's very deep thing, you know, despite diversities, if we are trying to find the commonalities. We're almost at the end of the session, but before we end, I just want to know a little small question, which will not take much time for you to answer. Whose work has inspired you, you know, when you were starting your journey as a writer? Which writer basically inspired you?
Actually, there are a lot, but I would say the kind of stories I bring forward to the world, mostly I would say Khalid Hosseini has a lot to do.
Okay. He's a wonderful
because
writer.
humanitarian background and that advocacy type of stories, I think I have a lot commonalities, and he inspired me a lot as well. That defiance.
Great to know that. I think he's a favorite writer of many writers, I would say.
Yeah.
So before we end the session, I just have a few lines from Rumi that I would like to share. In your light, I learn how to love. In your beauty, how to make poems. You dance inside my chest where no one sees you, but sometimes I do. And that sight becomes this art. So this is basically, you know, how writers and poets are inspired, that anything can inspire us to write, and that's reflected in Rumi's words. It was very nice hosting you here, Mr. Pramadit. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on our platform today. And you would want to say some few last words before we sign off?
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me with you all. And it's really a very good, enriching conversation. And I would like to say that every single conversation that I had with people are the ones that really inspire me to go to next level every time. Every single person that I meet inspired me. So there's no exception. This is the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for saying that. It really means a lot, and we would love to have to hear more of you in future events. And good luck to you for your new book, the manuscript of which you shared with us that it's just been completed. And we look forward to reading your books. Thanks a lot for sharing the platform with us. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Great evening.
Thank you, audience. Thank you, ALS and Manoj Krishnan, for organizing this session. And today, it's a very, I don't know if you're aware or not, Mr. Pramodan, but today is an auspicious festival in India. It's called Ganesh Chaturthi. So, on behalf of all of us from India, we would want to wish happy Ganesh Chaturthi to you and to all my audience here. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Welcome.